with most credit cards, you do have a certain level of protection. What I've always done is had an internet credit card. Even if that did get compromised, my exposure was limited.
A lot of people don't realize that we almost lost the Bourbon White House to a gas station in 1938. So it discusses how the community came together to save this unique structure.
The city has purchased 6.6 acres on the river for a downtown park. It's one of the initiatives that has been talked about for a number of years with the Vision 2020 plan. We had the opportunity to buy the property, we did, and we feel that it's going to be a heavily used park. It will be more passive in nature, but it will be a place where the city can expand and have festivals and concerts and all kinds of different events can take place there, and a place where we can put a lot of people down there. So we're very proud of that purchase, and we're very proud of the fact that the City Council made the decision to move forward on it. The great news is that probably early this spring or late this spring, we will have completed the Riverwalk. The Riverwalk is under construction from the Isabel homes right behind PPD to the convention center site. So that section will be open. The last major section to be open. It's an initiative that the city has undertaken for many years now, and every council has supported it. So here we are at the end of this, and it's become one of the #1 tourist attractions in our community. So literally you can go from almost bridge to bridge, almost 2 miles in length, and it's a great asset for our community. We also have a number of construction projects underway. The $40 million Performing Arts Center that the community college is building, which will have 1,500 seats where you can have concerts and plays, and you can bring in larger acts. That's going to be a good thing for the community. In addition to that, across the street from there's a 129 unit apartment complex going in called City Block Apartments. Something that we've been talking about for a number of years is to put additional units, additional residential units in our downtown, which will help our merchants. Downtown living is it's a great thing. So this is a good thing that's happening. A lot of things are happening downtown, and we're very proud of it, and a lot more are coming with additional hotels. All of that is having an impact and driving a lot of people down there. We're starting to see now the fruits of our labor being paid off, where people now are wanting to make investments in downtown because of the public investment that has been made by the citizens of this community.
Well, we've finished a 20-year restoration of that now. It's one of the few remaining urban slave quarters in the country. Certainly one of the few you can tour and have it interpreted for you. A couple of $100,000 have gone in there to turn it back into the building that it was in 1859. So our volunteers take you through. You see building techniques, preservation techniques, how it was fixed, and you'll see who lived there and what they did. So you get a full view of slavery in 1861, 59, that kind of area. And we're really excited to have it because it's so unusual to be able to find that and look through it. We took it back with a federal grant and with state oversight and other things as well. We took it back with exactly the same materials. We recycled everything that we could recycle that was already in the building, that wasn't basically eaten by termites. We put it all back. And then we used the same mixture of mortar, we used the same glass, we used the same everything you can possibly find to make it about as close to 1859 construction as you can. One of the things about that Bellamy site is it was finished in 1861, the major house on the site. So it's right at the beginning of the Civil War. So the idea when you come, the story that we're telling is that the whole country is about to change radically, and that the lives of slaves is about to be completely altered, and everybody else for that matter. And so we have that moment where we can show people what history, when it changes, and we do that through sort of the lens of the house and the slave quarters, and basically through the lives of the people who live there. And that's how our docents tell that story when they walk through. So anybody taking the tour gets a full view of like architectural history and social history, all rolled up into one and all right at an incredibly pivotal moment. Well, if anybody owns an old house, or just a house in general, you know how much it costs to keep it going, right? Run the systems, fix stuff, and like that. A 10,000 square foot house in an 1859 slave quarters cost that and then some. I think painting the outside of the Bellamy in the white paint is about $70,000 to do it in one shot. And it's cool that we can get to preserve it in that way, because then we can show people how they can preserve their old houses. We do workshops on like how to restore brick, how to restore old windows and things like that, because if you put the value back into an old house, it actually pays off much more in the future than not. And also it's environmentally sound to not demolish a house. We do environmental days and green tours and things like that where we talk about building techniques, but also the preservation side of it, which I find really fascinating. One of the key moments of that is when you convince somebody or teach somebody that saving an old building makes them money or saves them money, and suddenly they think, oh, right, yeah. It's not about demolishing this and putting something else up. I'll do better if I keep what I've got and restore it. One of the exhibits next year will be from Preservation North Carolina that owns the Bellamy. And what they do is they find old buildings, either get them donated or buy them, which are in terrible shape, fix them up somewhat, sell them to somebody who's going to take that on. And they'll end up making money and getting tax credits for it by the time they put in a lot of money into the big project. And so we teach about how that sort of side of preservation can work and how it's really good for pretty much everybody. It's a win-win situation. We have gallery space up in the bedroom level. We had Ivy Hayes, we had an African-American quilt exhibit, we had photography exhibits. So things come through, and next year you won't have seen the slave quarters in the state that it's in right now finished like this before. So we have things which change in there all the time. We're working on our interpretation. We always update, our tour and things like that. So if you come back over time, it sort of evolves. The place sort of changes a little bit and you get a slightly different experience of it every time you come in, hopefully a better one.
Around here, we work hard for you. We get started before the sun comes up and work well into the night. We use only the freshest ingredients for our food and our craft beers. At Front Street Brewery, we're passionate about our work and what we serve. For nearly 20 years, we've been proud to call Wilmington home. So from our family to yours, thanks for coming in. Front Street Brewery, serving you since 1995.
Look through the eyes of the past and see the future as history comes to life. Explore and discover the stories and memories of life at sea.
Chief, losing main steam pressure.
History comes alive on the battleship North Carolina.
The most talked about travel experience is a river cruise. We work with top name operators. There is no better way to see the world than on a river cruise from Four Seasons Travel and spend less time getting there and more time being there.
Bring your home movies into Carolina Video Edit Centers for professional high-quality transfer. From old-school VHS to the latest digital cameras, we can transfer to disk, hard drive, or upload directly. Whether it's digital archiving or social media sharing, we can do it at Carolina Video Edit Centers.
It's a little taste of Mexico right here in Wilmington. La Costa Mexican Restaurant. Start off the night with La Casa Rita or one of their delicious icy cold drinks. Then dig in for delicious La Costa specialties like arroz con pollo, carne asada, seafood molcajete, and fajitas. La Costa Mexican Restaurant with 3 locations in Porter's Neck, Market Street, and Oleander.
The Brigham Wright House is a colonial home in the heart of downtown Wilmington, and what makes this particular historic house unique is that there are only 3 colonial structures left in Wilmington, and it is the only one open to the public. In the last several years, there have been great strides in renovating and restoring aspects of the home, repainting it, bricking the outdoor gardens, illuminating it for public events and special events. There are also efforts in restoring some of the rooms to their former glory. The stone structures on the property were actually the original city jail of Wilmington from 1744 to 1768. And after a fire, John Burgoyne, a local merchant and planter and royal secretary to the governor, built his house above the jail foundations. There's an outdoor kitchen with an original hearth that's still functional from the colonial era. and the house, fully furnished with 18th and 19th century pieces, dates back to 1770. The tours last about 45 minutes, and visitors will discover local and North Carolina colonial history, as well as the social fabric of the house in regards to who the families were, who the people that were enslaved and worked for the families were. We discuss North Carolina during the colonial era and what it meant in the grand scheme of the American Revolution. Another unique feature of the Burger and White House is the 7 colonial gardens that surround the property on 2/3 of an acre. It is the only green public space in downtown Wilmington, with a complimentary self-guided tour at any time the visitors can take at their own leisure. And there are now 3 permanent exhibits about the Wilmington tunnels, the city jail, and the types of crime and punishments that took place on the property, as well as the restoration of the Burger and White House in 1938. A lot of people don't realize that we almost lost the Burger and White House to a gas station in 1938. So it discusses the campaign and how the community came together to save this unique structure, which is one of the finest examples of Georgian architecture. We do get a lot of people who come through the Burger and White House expecting to go through Jacob's Run, which is one of the most infamous tunnels in downtown Wilmington. However, we have no connection to that tunnel because it's across the street. So the exhibit is really important because it dispels a lot of the myth and lore surrounding the house. However, there were 7 tunnels in downtown Wilmington that we do discuss. There are beautiful visuals of where the tunnels are and what it meant for the economy of Wilmington, draining the swampy land back into the Cape Fear River so Wilmington could thrive and build roads and become one of the main ports in North Carolina. Another exhibit that we have on permanent display discusses the types of crime and punishments that took place on the properties and some of the features that were there: cages, stocks, pillories, and gallows, to showcase how important the property was in the colonial era and how what took place on this property really influenced our Bill of Rights. The right to a trial by jury versus one colonial judge that could be easily bribed. The right to speedy trial rather than be incarcerated in a jail for 4 to 6 weeks without due process. Those types of punishments that took place on the property really influenced the founding documents of our country. The house is open all year round, even during extensive preservation and restoration efforts, and we invite the public to come out, ask questions, and see some of the efforts that it takes to take care of a structure that's 240 years old.
Bellamy Vineyard and Winery on Stagg Road in Burgaw is one of North Carolina's oldest muscadine grape vineyards. Scott and Colleen Bannerman have been cultivating high-quality grapes on this family-owned vineyard since 1973, later adding a winery and diversifying into the production of wines from both the estate-grown grapes and from some of the state's fresh fruits, including strawberries, blueberry, and even peach wine. Muscadine grapes are a Native American species dating to the late 16th century. There are some 20 varieties grown here in eastern North Carolina, where the climate and conditions are best for these non-clustered vines. North Carolina was the largest wine-producing state in the 1840s, and there were 25 wineries at the turn of the 20th century. Now Bannerman's is among 100 wineries and 400 vineyards across the state of North Carolina. 6 varieties of estate muscadine grapes are grown at Bannerman's, more than enough for their own wine production, and this allows the vineyards to be open for those who like to pick their own grapes during September and through mid-October. The additional grapes from the harvest are then sold to other wineries for their annual production. A half dozen muscadine wines, from white and red oak sweet and semi-sweets to a sweet bay blush and a semi-dry white table wine, are all produced at Bannerman's and can be sampled in the wine tasting room in Burgaw and a number of farmers markets and area wine festivals. As a way of keeping the winemaking process going on a more year-round basis, the Bannerman's also produce wines from North Carolina-grown fruits that are harvested and made into wine in the spring and early summer. Regionally grown blueberries, ready in early spring, are followed by strawberries that have become an award-winning wine recipe for the Bannerman's, and peach wine, also made from 100% North Carolina peaches. Bannerman Vineyards Winery and Tasting Room are open Wednesday through Saturdays in the spring and through early summer, with extended hours 7 days a week during the fall harvest and winemaking season.
Alpha Mortgage. We're the only full-service mortgage banking firm in southeastern North Carolina. From origination through processing, underwriting, funding, closing, we do it all locally. More than 90 professional staff right here in Wilmington. Alpha Mortgage is the leading mortgage lender in southeastern North Carolina. Alpha Mortgage is the lender more real estate agents and builders rely on. We work with your realtor and your builder every step of the way from application to closing. We have the best rates, best service because we are Alpha. Alpha Mortgage.
Hieronymus Seafood and Oyster Bar, voted best seafood restaurant in Wilmington by Encore magazine readers. Here is where you can count on the freshest local seafood daily, served with fresh herbs selected from their own garden. Enjoy daily chalkboard drink specials in the cocktail lounge. Choose to eat in the Oyster Bar for freshly steamed oysters or crab legs. Or you can dine family style in the comfortable and spacious dining room. Seasonal catch from local waters is always on the menu at Hieronymus Seafood, where fresh is best.
Your passport awaits to 3 of Wilmington's most historic homes. Now for one low admission price, you can visit Bellamy Mansion, the city's grandest antebellum home, Burgwyn Wright House Museum and Gardens, beautifully restored for a step back in history, and Latimer House, representing opulent life in Wilmington before the Civil War. Purchase your passport at any one of the historic home locations and discover 3 great reasons to visit Wilmington's past. Tickets are good for 1 week from the date of purchase.
We're one of the largest garden clubs in the country. We have over 350 members. We have many associate and emeritus and honorary members who are also active. We have added 40 plus members recently who are young, active, interested people. And the Garden Club has many different interests, from civic-minded projects to things that are just simply fun. Every one of our members makes 3 dozen cookies so that when the general public comes to the ribbon cutting of the garden tour, they can sample homemade love. And that's what we try to put out into the community. I'm so pleased to see that places like Greenfield Lake are being brought back to the public attention. And one of the ways that that occurs is that a few years ago, we chose to have the ribbon cutting at the Greenfield Lake Amphitheater, which is a beautiful space and so great to accommodate everybody that wanted to come and watch the opening ceremony. And right across the street is the Rotary Wheel, one of the largest Rotary Wheels, if not the largest in the world. And the Rotarians partnered with us, got on board, and totally renovated the space. So now it's beautiful for everyone to enjoy year-round. The Cape Fear Garden Club has events year-round that the public is probably never entirely aware of. A lot of the things that we do operate a little bit under the radar, whether it's going to hospice and helping them plant 1,000 bulbs in their garden, cleaning up trash in front of the hospital, or going out to Battery Island on the coldest day of the year to pick up trash and make sure that the snowy egrets have a clean and safe place to nest. These are all things that we're committed to. And no, a lot of it isn't trumpeted, but that's not the point. The point is simply to find ways in which we can serve and be useful and show our gratitude for this community.
Pretty much these days, the only difference between tablets and phones is the size and the capacities of the two. Now, they have made it where you can make phone calls from your iPad. I'm sure Android, on the Android market, they're going to be doing the same thing. And with the Windows platform, with them owning Skype, they'll be right behind that. In fact, they're getting ready to rebrand Skype to be something more business class. With an iPhone, they have Find My Phone. And so you can log into your iCloud account, click on the Find My Phone, it'll tell you where that phone is in the geography of wherever you're at, and you can actually kill everything on that. Most of that stuff is saved to the cloud. So if somebody was to steal your phone or you were to lose it, you can reset your phone remotely. For the most part, apps are safe because they're controlled remotely. And basically you are operating a GUI or a interface that is remotely managed somewhere else. So apps, for the most part, are safe, depending on where you download them from. iOS and Android market and Microsoft's app stores, they're all virtually I'd say 99% safe. It's more of a controlled environment, therefore it's a more secure environment. And so you can see that by using apps only, you maintain a certain level of security that you don't necessarily achieve when you're on the internet, where anybody could be watching traffic on a website and grabbing data. You saw this with OpenSSL about a year ago, where there was a vulnerability where people could sit there and watch or gather data such as, i.e. username and passwords, as people would log on to certain shopping carts, and then they would get their information and be able to order stuff or spoof things, send things certain ways, do all kinds of damage. Saving your credit card information anywhere, I don't recommend it. What I've always done is had a internet credit card, so even if that did get compromised, my exposure was limited. With most credit cards, you do have a certain level of protection. You actually have more protection with most of your credit cards than you do with your own debit card, which is actual cash out of your bank account. So definitely never use your debit card online unless that's the only thing that you have. Even if you are storing it in the cloud and the cloud is backing it up, you should always have a local copy, because where your cloud service is could get compromised. And you could lose not only the live data, but your backed up data in the cloud. And you'll have that local version at the very least. In reverse, if you were to have a fire that ruined your local copies, then you have your off-site copies that are safe and sound in the cloud. You do see like Sony getting hacked, you see Target getting hacked. It definitely is something that I would recommend making sure that you practice strong passwords and not using the same password everywhere. And when I say strong passwords, I mean anything from 12 to 20 characters. Anything under that is fairly easy to crack these days. Nothing is 100%. If it's out on the internet, it has a potential for being attacked or corrupted or anything along those lines. The best thing you can do is practice strong passwords.
Discover more to do and see in Wilmington. See the attractions, events, businesses, and people that make this a great place to live. Keep your eyes on us as we keep our eye on Wilmington. On CBS 10 WILM.
Arts councils are generally the most effective way to support arts in a community. May of 2002, the Arts Council of the Lower Cape Fear closed its doors. Once we lost the Arts Council, I was appointed co-chair of the City of Wilmington's Task Force on Arts and Cultural Affairs. And we convened a number of brown bag sessions with artists and arts organizations to decide, well, what happens now with the loss of an arts council. And in 2008, myself and the heads of other arts organizations actually approached the State Arts Council. And so the State Arts Council came in, investing very heavily in cultural mapping and a process that allowed us to reestablish ourselves. One of our core functions is to establish Wilmington as an arts destination. And when I say Wilmington, I do mean the region. Pender and Brunswick counties, Columbus County, we are the cultural seat of this region. And so we want to establish that with visitors, both from in-state and from out-of-state. The State Arts Council administers the Grassroots Art Grant Program for organizations, and it's passed through arts councils when there is an arts council. Similarly, there's a regional artists grant program. To give you some perspective, in the last granting cycle, our grant was administered by the Arts Council of Fayetteville, Cumberland County, because we didn't have an arts council. And they administered for a 15-county region and had $15,000 to give out. Now that we are administering for New Hanover, Pender, Brunswick, and Columbus counties, we have $15,000 for just these 4 counties. And so the impact is certainly greater. additionally have a number of partnerships with local arts organizations and local institutions as our way of helping to shore up and build capacity for organizations and their programs.